7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother... Welcome to the most listened to international podcast around the world. Hakeem and Reggie Brown are two young African-American boys speaking the truth. This is Pop City Culture.
What's up, everybody? Pop City Culture. I'm back.
Welcome back to Pop City Culture.
That's right, man. You know, we almost got ousted because, our dad found out we had the podcast. We had some drama in our last show.
Yes, Reggie, that's right. But, things are working out. And we're
Thank goodness they're working out.
Where we can go from there. But in this episode, we are going to be talking about the bullying pandemic around the world.
That's a good thing to talk about.
Bullycide,
Yeah, man, I know that's a big thing. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, Reggie.
Being bullied, that goes without saying. I know a lot of people who've been bullied.
Really, Reggie? So you have a lot of friends who bullied you in the past or something?
Yeah, man. Everybody be getting bullied, man. That's like almost a rite of passage.
Oh, no,
you get bullied and that's it.
Wait a minute, Reggie. Bullying should not be a rite of passage.
Say what?
Bullying is not a good thing. Now, I'm glad we're doing this show because for some reason you think that bullying is okay, and it's not okay. It's something that should be stopped. No one has the right to bully you or do anything like that.
Yo, Hakeem, I didn't say, it's something like, get out with the thing. You're sounding stupid again. Why you always got to start the show off like this? You always got to try to make me look stupid or something. That ain't right, man. That's a form of bullying, too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you might be bullying me.
Reggie, me bullying you, I think half the stuff you say on this show, you bully me. You're always telling me to shut up and stuff like that. Do you think that's okay? Reggie, do you think that's okay? Oh, here we go. Reggie's going to give me the silent treatment now. He's just looking at me, doing these gestures, whatever. Anyways, so let's talk about, right now there's a pandemic going on, but I'm talking about a different pandemic. And this pandemic, is prevalent over a whole country and the world. Pandemic. That's a very serious thing. And like I've always said, there's many types of pandemics, and the one we're talking about is what, Reggie?
Bullying. Ain't that what you said? We're doing a show on bullying?
Yes, Reggie. This show is
I know you don't think I
today.
listen,
So,
but I do.
what does bully mean? Do you know, Reggie?
Yeah, man, I know what that means. It means you want to do harm to somebody, you want to intimidate somebody, you might even want to coerce them because, someone might be perceived as vulnerable. Bet you didn't think I knew that.
Reggie, I didn't say you didn't know that. I'm just saying if you knew it, and I'm glad you did. So, bullying's not a good thing. It's a blustering or browbeating person down, especially one who's vulnerable. These people who bully, they're just cruel. They're insulting, they're threatening, and they always pick on the weaker or the smaller or the kinder or the gentler person, someone who's vulnerable, who can be tormented, and that isn't a good thing. You know what I mean, Reggie?
Yes, man, I know what you mean. I remember a couple years back, there was this kid, he was bullied in school. But, I stood up for him. I said, man, you got to knock that off. He's my friend.
Man, Reggie, I'm real glad you did that. A lot of people don't actually step up and help people like that. A lot of people, they just watch this stuff go on. And that's not a good thing, because if you watch something like that, then, in my opinion, you're just as guilty as the bully. And it's a terrible, terrible thing. Now, bullying is, that's a distinctive pattern. And it's repeated, it's deliberate, and it's harming and humiliating the others, especially those, like I said, smaller and weaker and kinder. That's just the bottom line.
I know, man. Bullies always pick on the good people because, they know they'd get their butt kicked if somebody bigger and had a bigger mouth or was more intimidating picked on them. So, these people are sort of sick in the head. You know what I'm saying? It's too bad, too.
Yeah, that's right, Reggie, because they deliberately target those who are in lesser power. And it's disgusting, and they disguise the bullying and in a variety of ways. You can disguise it from like verbal attacks or
Making fun of others, man. People, that's what bullies do. Bullies make fun of people. They make them look stupid, talk down to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. And then, they can get physical and you can get threats of harm. And there's other forms of intimidation, which is bad. And it's deliberate. It's an exclusion from other things. I was reading where studies indicate that bullying speaks to kids around age, 11 to 16.
Seriously?
And hopefully it decreases as a child gets older, but it isn't always 100%. But I mean that aggressiveness, such as kicking and hitting and shoving. I've seen that in my school. You know what I'm saying, Reggie?
Yeah, Hakeem, I know what you're saying. But that's bullies, Bullies do stuff like that. I don't even know why there's bullies nowadays. You think people would just be nice. You think,
very true.
People would be more evolved. I mean, come on. Hakeem, it ain't like we be cavemen walking around with sticks and stones beating on people.
Yes, Reggie, but, nowadays we don't use sticks and stones. These bullies carry words, and words can be powerful, and they can hurt too, you know what I'm saying? So, most bullyings, now we're talking about kids in school, most bullyings occur in and around schools and around playgrounds. And, since the birth of the internet, it has really taken off into cyberbullying. About 20% of students report being bullied. Now, that's only 20%.
Why is it so low? I mean, shouldn't it be more?
People don't want to say nothing. People get scared, or they try to say something, but people don't listen. And people watch, and, people don't do nothing. They do nothing. They know this is going on. They know there's a bully, and they refuse to do anything. I mean, how sick is that? I just don't get it.
Yo, man, I don't get it either because, if you see something, it's like they say, if you see something, you should say something. That should be the motto around the whole world. See something, say something.
Yeah, Reggie. That's really good, Reggie. That's really good. And, according to the National Center of Education Statistics, boys and girls are equally likely to be bullied,
Well, first of all, I guess we should start by saying why people bully. I don't know why somebody would even want to do something like that.
Or Reggie, people bully because it's an effective way of getting what they want, like a little kid, at least in the short term. And because they lack social skills to do so without harming others, but that's why they target the weak. You know what I'm saying?
I do now.
Bullying is also a way of establishing social dominance too. And although over time, as children's behaviors generally broaden, it becomes an increasingly dysfunctional thing that they carry on through life, even when they're older.
Yo, man, are you saying you can be a bully as an adult?
Yes, Reggie. As an adult, you can be a bully. And we've seen this, we have seen this in the workplace, and we've seen this in society.
Say it ain't so.
I mean, look at politics now. You could see bullies there. The whole political system at this point, although we don't like to get into political stuff on this show, everybody.
No, we don't.
I would say we have a dysfunctional political system, unfortunately, right now, where nobody is working together and everybody is trying to get their voice heard, but nobody's getting much done because they're too busy bullying the other side.
Yo, man, I think you're right. So, are you saying bullies are born or are they made?
Bullies are made, not born, and it usually happens at an early age. If the normal aggression of a 2-year-old is not handled with consistency, children fail to acquire the internal restraints against such behavior. So, I mean, at a young age, you really have to teach these kids right from wrong. At this young age, you have to show them that, bullying is not a way of getting what you want. Bullying remains a very, very durable behavior style, largely because bullies get what they want. I mean, at least at first.
You mean they don't get what they want all the time?
No, they don't get what they want all the time, but I will say most of the time. And this pattern or behavior they have, I mean, it is just...
It's just what?
It's just unbelievable. It just gets stronger and stronger through their life.
Well, what psychological features do do bullies have?
Well, I would say researchers have found that bullies have a distinct psychological makeup. I mean, they lack social skills, first of all. So they don't really know how to talk to people. They almost talk illiterate because their words are just grunts. Just what they want, what they're focused on. They don't really care about people's feelings either. But pro-social behavior are untroubled by anxiety, and they don't understand other people's feelings. Now, this is the big thing, because if they understood how other people felt, then they would not act the way they do, don't you think?
Yo, man, absolutely. Because, you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings because, like you said, words do hurt, and it's not right that, people be acting like this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Reggie. So, they often in putting hostility in neutral situations. I mean, so they'll go out of their way in a very calm situation. They'll go out of their way.
These people sound
to
like they
make it
got
a hostile
problems.
environment and put you on the spot. And others may not like them, but they typically see themselves as quite positive. Now, so they have a grandiose image of themselves as if they're almost godlike, like they're untouchable. But those who chronically bully tend to have strained relationships with their parents and peers. And, you can see this in school and probably in the workplace, but we're not old enough to work. But, from what I understand, it happens a lot in the workplace. And we're going to talk about that later.
Yo, but, Hakeem, we're talking about bullying.
Yes, we are.
So we should probably tell people why bullying is so harmful.
Well, bullying is harmful because it carries implicit messages that aggression and violence are acceptable solutions to problems when they are not. So, they use their aggressiveness. They're very aggressive, and we see this in the schools, and it's not a good thing. Cooperation and the peaceful resolution of different support and increasingly interconnected world, they cannot understand something like that because they don't like peace. Bullies not only harm their victims, but they're perpetrators.
And predators.
Most bullies have a downwardly spiral course through life as their aggressive behavior interferes with learning, holding a job, and establishing and maintaining intimate relationships. So they probably have troubles at home. A lot of these kids, when they go home, maybe their parents bully them. But, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man, I'd hate to see these bullies one day when they go out in the workforce and then they get married. Yo, dude, if they get married, they're going to have a strained relationship with their spouse or their significant other. Man, that'd be something to see. I wonder how bullies deal with that.
Well, bullies, since they're dominant, they probably bully their partner or their husbands or their wives because, bullies can
and
be
their
men
children
as well as women. It goes both ways. And some bullies do leave the behavior behind, but many don't. Aggression is a very stable social interaction style, and they learn it, from a young age. And for these kinds of people, it's the only thing they know.
Yo, man, they almost sound like animals, man. Because, animals act like that, don't they?
Well, yeah, but we're human beings, so human beings should be more peaceful and more evolved. They shouldn't have to be acting like this. I remember watching this animal show, and there were these two tigers. One was very peaceful and docile. One just wanted to enjoy life, and not have any problems. But the other tiger kept poking it and swatting at it and roaring at it, because it was bullying the other lion. And they were showing how one day the other lion that was very peaceful and docile just came back and attacked. And that bully lion, the one that was bullying it, I don't think it ever did something like that again,
Yeah, man, but this ain't the animal kingdom. So, that's something, man. You're right. Animals do that stuff, but why do people do it? People be acting like animals.
Well, you know what? I don't really know.
But Hakeem, I just don't understand how bullies can do something like that.
Reggie, I'm very proud of you. I'm glad you don't understand. You know why? Because the fact that you don't understand means your mindset is not like an animal. You're not like a bully. You shouldn't understand the mindset of a bully because you're not a bully, just like you're not an animal. You know, your brain is wired differently. And I'm glad. It sounds like your brain is wired very good. But as we know, there are people whose brains are not wired like that. People's brains are wired dysfunctional and mean and cruel. And, some of these people, like I said, from age 2, that's how their brains are wired. And it's so sad, don't you think?
Yeah, man, it's sad. I mean, especially in the world today, in this century, you'd think people would be more better than that. But hey, whatever, man. We probably need to move on because I'm getting agitated here. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're
But
saying.
I guess, Hakeem, the thing that agitates me is why do people just stand by and let bullies do this stuff? It just gets to my soul. I just can't understand how a human being who sees something like that can allow something like that to happen because like I said, I stood up and stood up for somebody who couldn't stand up for themselves. I mean, don't you think that's just what you're supposed to do? Ain't that like human nature? That's just common decency, man. Somebody who can't help somebody who's just being a standby, man, that's foul, man. That ain't even gangster. That's stupid.
Yeah, you're right. But bullies frequently carry out their aggressions before an audience or their peers. They always want to have a witness because they feel good about they feel really good about putting somebody down, and they want to be rewarded with the silence, knowing that they've got that power. And the presence of an audience can boost a bully's sense of power. But bystanders seldom to never stop the aggression, even though they see it. They may, in fact, enjoy the spectacle. I mean, they might enjoy watching it, saying, wow, I've never seen something like that. It's almost like,
I know what you're saying. It's almost like going to the zoo and watching some monkeys perform.
Yeah, that's right, because it's a spectacle. And even if they don't approve, Reggie, of the situation, they may dislike the victim or fear retaliation by the bully.
Yo, man, you mean they're going to be retaliated against?
Well, you know how it is in school. If you narc on somebody or say something, you'd be afraid to go to the bathroom because you might get retaliation. Or you might step out the room and that bully's going to be there and they're going to say something, and they're just going to attack you. Nobody likes retaliation, Reggie. I mean, that's so childish.
I know, man, but right now we childs, but I'm afraid these bullies are going to grow into adults and probably harm somebody.
I know, and they do. And you know where the harm comes, Reggie? The harm comes from this. People who bully can drive a person so far that they will commit what we call suicide.
Oh, my God.
Can you imagine being bullied so much where you feel you cannot take it anymore, where you feel you have no choice in the world, that you have to take your own life because some jerk, some piece of something just bullies you every day?
Man, are you serious? People be killing themselves?
Yeah. I'll give you an example. There was a girl, 16 years old. She came from South Hadley, Massachusetts. Went to South Hadley High School. She was bullied every day by a group of girls. Teachers knew what was going on. Principals knew what was going on. Kids knew what was going on. But these group of girls did this every day. They threw soda cans at her, trash at her. And this girl, she's really pretty. She was from Ireland.
Ireland? Man, that's something. That's a long ways away. Why was she going to school here?
Well, her parents wanted to give her a better life. They figured we can take our kids, and she had a sister. They said we can take our kids to America, the land of dreams, the land of opportunity, the land where everybody is given a chance to be who they are, and they can have a great chance at life.
So what happened to her?
And they brought their daughters here, wanting to start a new life for their kids, giving them the opportunity, like everybody in America wants, to be free. And Phoebe was bullied. And it got to the point where she couldn't take it anymore. And Phoebe hanged herself. She committed suicide.
Yo, man, are you serious? She killed herself?
That's what happens when somebody gets bullied. People can only take so much. And you can only put so much weight on a person's shoulder. We are human beings. We're not steel. We're not wood. We're not metal. Somebody can really tear you down to a point where you do want to kill yourself. And unfortunately, Phoebe hanged herself. I guess when it happened, the whole town was at a school assembly, a music assembly, and everybody's phone went off because everybody has cell phones. And they didn't know if it was a prank that a girl in South Hadley killed herself, Phoebe Prince. You never really think something like that could ever happen in your school, but it does happen. And the sad thing is people knew what was going on. The teachers, everybody. And nobody did anything.
Oh my God, I can't imagine. What did the parents do who came from Ireland?
The parents packed up their stuff after they buried their daughter. Wait. They actually brought their daughter's body back to Ireland. They said they don't want their daughter buried in a cruel, hateful, bullying land like America. And they took her body back to Ireland and buried her there. And they vowed they would never come back to America again.
Oh, man, and those teachers didn't do a damn thing. Man, I can't believe it. I didn't know that.
Yes, Reggie. But here's something else you probably didn't know. There was a boy, 13. His name was Diego. And he was bullied at Moreno Valley School. These other boys, they didn't like him. And they physically attacked him, hit him. And he hit his head on some concrete. He was clinically dead. They put him in the hospital, and his body was alive, but he was brain dead. So they just kept him alive to harvest his organs. But the sad thing is, so many people watched it and videotaped it, and nobody stepped in and said, no, you cannot do something like this. This is horrible. This is insane. They just watched.
Oh my God, Hakeem, are you serious? Man, that's some sick stuff. Man, I don't get the world, Hakeem. This is like crazy. This is crazy times, man. It breaks my heart. It makes me want to cry that somebody would do something like that to another kid like me.
I know, Reggie. But, it's very bad. So many kids across America are bullied. And people watch and they do nothing. And this is a pandemic of cruelty by these animals who sit there and bully people. In fact, there's a boy, Carl Joseph Walker Hoover. He was 11 years old.
He was from Springfield, I think.
He was bullied at school every day. His mother, Sedina, went up there every day just begging that the school would do something, protect her son who she loved so much. And apparently the school didn't really do a whole lot. After being bullied on a Monday night, being taunted, at New Leadership Charter School, where Carl Joseph Walker Hoover was a 6th grader, his mother came home and found him on the 2nd floor of their home, hanging by an extension cord.
Oh man, I can't even imagine that. That's really sad. Man, see, you're gonna make me cry.
I know, but this is very sad. Bullying is not a funny thing. Bullying is a serious thing, and people do get hurt. Let me give you some statistics. I have them here. It says every 7 minutes, a child is bullied, and adult intervention 4%, peer intervention 11%, no intervention 85%. So that means 85% of the time, people do nothing. They do absolutely nothing. Nothing. Why don't they just call themselves worthless? Because if people don't step in and help somebody, that's the saddest thing.
That's what they are.
And biracial and multiracial youth are more likely to be victimized than youth who identify with a single race. Did you know that?
No, man, I didn't know that.
Bullied students tend to grow up more socially anxious, with less self-esteem, and require more mental health services throughout life.
So are you saying that people who are bullied need to get mental health, like see a doctor?
That's pretty much exactly what I'm saying, because they obviously have something going on. Like I said, their brains are wired differently, very aggressive, and maybe they should get mental health services. And according to this, they need help throughout their whole life. Only 7% of U.S. parents are worried about cyberbullying.
Really?
And cyberbullying is a new thing. It's the computers. Yet 33% of teenagers have been victims of cyberbullying.
Man, that's a lot. I didn't even know that. But we don't really do a lot of social media stuff. But man, that's something. Man, parents should really be looking into stuff like that.
Yeah, they really should. And do you know, kids who are obese, gay, or have disabilities are up to 63% more likely to be bullied by any other children, just because, like I said, they are obese, gay, or have a disability.
Yo, man, I didn't know that. People, I guess we used to call it getting picked on, but that's bullying, man. You're opening up my eyes to a whole lot of things. I didn't know stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I guess you didn't know this either, Reggie. 1 million children were harassed, threatened, or subjected to other forms of cyberbullying on a certain social media during the past year. I'm not going to say which media it was, but it was on social media.
1 million? Man, that's a shame. You think social media, it would like bring people together, but I guess sometimes it tears people apart and people use it as a weapon against other kids. I guess you're right. They're probably weak because they can say whatever they want, behind the computer screen without saying something to somebody's face. So I guess that means they're probably weaker then, huh? Huh, Hakeem?
Yes, Reggie. They're very weak people who do stuff like that. It's also said that 86% of students said other kids picking on them, making fun of them, or bullying them caused them to turn to lethal violence in school.
Yo, man, are you serious? That's a shame.
Yeah, it is a shame. And it's estimated that 160,000, now listen to me, it is estimated that 160,000 children miss school every year due to fear of attack or intimidation by other students.
So kids are skipping school because of that? Man, don't you think that the school would like investigate and say, yo, you didn't come to school today. Why didn't you come to school? And I'm sure it's got to affect their classes, I mean, teachers should say, but then again, you said teachers don't be doing nothing. Yo, man, people got to step up. This is ridiculous. After listening, I'm really glad we're doing a show like this because, this is ridiculous. This bullying stuff and people committing suicide and killing themselves. Man, that's the shame. That's terrible. I just never heard nothing like that in my life.
You're right. And Reggie, listen to this. The Center for Disease Control states that almost 45,000 deaths occur from suicide each year. And there's 100 attempts of suicide to every one successful suicide. A little over 14% of students in high school consider suicide, and approximately 7% of them attempt suicide.
Well, I mean, what are we supposed to do? What are kids all supposed to do then?
Well, I guess you can contact the teacher. And if teachers don't do anything, try to contact the school counselor. And then if school counselors don't do anything, I guess you move on to the school principal. And then if the school principal doesn't do anything, you move on to the school superintendent. And if the school superintendent doesn't do anything, the State Department of Education.
But Hakeem, like Phoebe Prince, she did all that stuff. Her parents, well, wait, did her parents know about that? Her being bullied?
No, they didn't know. And that's another thing. It's hard because when kids are being bullied, a lot of kids, they don't tell their parents what's going on at school. So there's also a lack of social skills between the kids and the parents. But, the other kids, like Carl, his parents knew, and the parents did something. And they took all the right routes, the teachers, the school counselors, the principal, everybody, and still this happened. So I guess after that, you file a police report or email yourself of all the incidents to keep a record, so if something happens. But, it's really a shame that there should be so much emphasis on stuff like this because kids are our future. Kids, and these kids are going to grow up in a world where they're going to be in a position of power as an adult. And I don't know, a lot of these kids will probably grow up and be bullies and they'll kill more people.
But are you, Hakeem, are you saying that, there's like bullying when you grow up?
Yes, Reggie. I'll give you an example. There's workplace bullying. There was a nurse who died by suicide. It was reported that she was bullied at work. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to read this to you. It says, sadly, for one nurse in the UK, investigators have concluded that bullying in the workplace led to her ultimately taking her own life. According to an article in the New York Post, 30-year-old Rhiannon Collins, a psychiatric nurse at a hospital in Swansea, Wales, and a mother of 2 young children. Listen to that. She had 2 young children. She hanged herself in her home in March of 2018. After a 5-month-long investigation into the circumstances surrounding her death, it's been concluded that Collins' death was the result of her having experienced issues at work, particularly with bullying from coworkers who made her life very difficult, according to the report.
So you telling me that these bullies, like in school, they grew up and they worked in the workplace, and what, they must have been in a position of power, or they were just bullying other people?
Yes, that's what they were doing. Let me go on, because it says something else. One of the officers in the report noted that Collins was dealing with being sworn at, bullied, intimidated, verbally put down, and thought that she was being given the worst shifts. The young woman also showed signs that she couldn't take it anymore and she couldn't cope with the stress. With the officer describing her as always worried about how she looked because she was getting picked on all the time. And she had a fiance who was the one who discovered her body when he came home to bring the children to her. I guess the children, her 2 young children, saw her dead. They described how, the fiance described how the girl, she was run down and exhausted from all the bullying from the prior months to her death. And her death made headlines across the globe. People mourned and put on social media, she was a vibrant woman. She was always happy, the kindest person, excellent heart. But these sick, shameless people did this to her, They bullied her. It's a sickness.
Man, that's a damn shame. And no one did anything. They just watched. Man, are you serious?
Yeah, they watched. And that's what I'm saying. There are pandemics in the world, and bullying by far is one of the top ones. It's a sickness that sweeps across the world. 50% of Americans have not experienced or witnessed bullying, but 19% of Americans are bullied. Another 19% witness bullying at work, and they do nothing. That's a shameful thing. And 61% of Americans are aware of abusive conduct that take place in the workplace, and they do what? Reggie.
Man, they do nothing, obviously. Man, I can't get over this. Man, those people seem like they weak, too.
But, 60 million Americans are affected by workplace bullying. And the bosses who bully comprise of 61%. That's 61% of bullies who are bosses. And Hispanics are the race most frequently targeted by bullies. And more than 70% of men are bullied, and women. They're the most frequently targeted of bullies. And it's really too bad. But, it's the world we live in, and it's very sad. Very, very sad. And that's going to bring us to the end of our podcast. And you know what time it is, Reggie?
Yeah, time for your words of wisdom, right?
Yeah. So here are some words of wisdom. There is a plague in the world running across the United States. It is bullying. Bullycide, where people are bullied so much they commit suicide. They kill themselves. They take their own life because they just can't take it anymore. But how are we to stop these tyrants? That's right. These are tyrants who prey on the kind-hearted and pure, the ones who have more respect for people in life than life itself. These victims of the crime who endure these kinds of assault and verbal batteries each day and every day at school and work, it's sickening. I could never understand why someone could ever in a million years take their life after being bullied. But now, after doing this podcast and doing a lot of research, I can understand. Only so much weight can be put on the back of a camel before you break it. These sick bullies who are narcissists have no place in our civilized societies. They have no place in the world, in fact. But here is the sad thing. There are people who watch this crime of bullying happen, and they do nothing. They say nothing. I feel that they are just as guilty as the cruel and narcissist one who is bullying the victim. And you know what I say? I say shame on them. Can you imagine a child being sexually assaulted by an older person? Imagine that you and many others stood by and watched. You were the sideline coach telling the young girl or boy what they should do as they watched and did nothing. You could have done something. You could have said something. You could have made a difference. That is why, in my opinion, you and people like you who watch these people who bully these victims are just as guilty. And you should be ashamed of yourselves. Everybody who does that. People who bully, they are a disease to mankind. They are a disease to society. They are the disease and a plague to this world. But there is a vaccination. We must get these bullies emotional and psychological help so they don't hurt anybody ever again. We must make sure that they never destroy a person's life by putting them in a corner where they feel suicide is the only way out. Because a bully, not only in that example, in my opinion, are murderers, a murderer to that individual, but they destroy a whole family. They destroy a whole community. They destroy a whole workplace. Is that what we want as human beings, as civilized human beings in a civilized society? Well, I say if not, then as a human being, you must step up and be a real friend, or at least a real human being. Reggie, your turn.
Okay, for everybody who feels like, they can't take it anymore, or they feel like they might be, suicidal, you can contact the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline online. It's at 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-TALK. Or, it's 1-800-273-8255. I'm going to say it again. 1-800-273-8255. The toll-free call goes to the nearest crisis center in our national network. These centers provide 24 hours crisis counseling and mental health referrals, and that's for everybody. And also, you can go to stopbullying.org. That's a website. I'm going to repeat that. Stopbullying.org. And that is the website, and that brings us to the conclusion of our show. So, I want to thank everybody for joining us on Pop City Culture, and I hope everybody got something out of this episode and they learned something. I sure did. I learned a lot. I just want to give a shout out, to my brother, but he's right here. I want to give you a shout out, Hakeem. I just want to say I love you, brother. And if I ever made you feel bad, like, bullying, I'm really sorry. Because that wasn't my intention. I love you, man.
I love you too, Reggie. You're the best brother I ever had. So that brings us to the conclusion of our show. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope to see you next time here on Pop City Culture. Goodbye, everybody. Have a good day. Remember, peace out.